Hello everyone, and welcome back to Maze! Solve the world's most challenging puzzle. The final episode in this entire series. This has been quite a journey, hasn't it? Unfortunately, all of the footage that I had of myself solving this final puzzle was lost. We had a hard drive failure, and I am unfortunately not wealthy enough to be able to have like multiple redundant backups of recordings. So, c'est la vie. My original plan was to, kind of work through chunks of rooms or segments of it. So this was going to be maybe a few more episodes. However, since I can't really recapture the original discovery moments, I'm going to be approaching this more like a retroactive breakdown, because at this point I know the solution. We've even confirmed the solution. And so, I don't want to be disingenuous and pretend, oh, hey, come discover this thing I already happen to know. It's inauthentic. Honestly, I don't think you'd find it as interesting. So instead, what you're getting is this one final episode to cap off this amazing journey. And while you may not be able to discover the solutions with me in semi-real time, I can actually provide a lot more insight into it and cut out a lot of the me banging my head against the problem until I figured out, how to twist things around and look at it from a different angle. So it'll be a lot more informative, but perhaps not as much like the revelation aspect of it as you've seen in some of the previous episodes. However, if what you find really compelling about watching these is that the revelation, the process, I highly recommend you check out this series on the blueprints that we're doing, because Christopher Manson did some work in the blueprints. The Rook and I, we team up, and when we get to that point in the series, you are absolutely going to be able to watch us as a team work through that in real time. And you'll realize what I realized, which is how absolutely cruel the Rook was for making me do this entirely on my own. Because she took one look at this and she's like, no, I'm not interested. That's a you project. And I'm like, cool, fine. And then in the context of the blueprints, no, she just cracks the puzzles wide open. And could have saved me hours of agony just by being able to offer her unique perspective. But nonetheless, it's all good. It's all fun. And we still have one last challenge to fully work through in this book. Let's do it. So one of the things that I've come to discover about Christopher Manson, the way he structures his puzzles, and I was reminded of this when working through the blueprints with the Rook, is that figuring out the structure of the puzzle is the first key important step. What is the answer to the riddle, stated exactly as indicated by the clues in this book? The answer is not in this book. The book doesn't provide the answer. The book provides one more set of clues to help you solve what house we'll all live in. And so that's the riddle. That's the question part of the riddle. What house we'll all live in? I spent a good long time banging my head against figuring out what's important in each of these rooms. Starting here in room 1, I worked out one thing that seems to have actually held throughout. And that was the clues for solving the riddle were going to be basically separate from the clues for solving the path. Meaning that if a clue helped me to figure out what direction to go, it probably would not be related to the riddle itself. And so what I started doing is filtering out, because there's so many clues. And as we saw when we were working room by room, you can justify things so many different ways after the fact. And actually, for many of the clues, you could justify different answers. that would be perfectly reasonable based on what you're given here. So kind of the first criteria that I set was I was only going to look at clues that didn't pertain to the pathway. So for example, here in room 1, like story, fable, tale, yarn, the emblems on the doors, the sunlight, those all contributed to guiding us toward the next correct room. However, there's other things here. Like, for example, all of the paper banners on the ground and on the wall and on this easel. And I made that split. And so looking just at the banners, first thing that I noticed, so there are several symbols that resemble English letters. This is published in America. So assuming American English here, there are a lot of like letters here that we can find. There's, G, D, there's E, O, F, K, I, E, L, H. There's another D. There's another potentially E or W or M. And depending on how you orient it. An H and I. Like, there are a bunch of letters here on the floor. From those letters down there, there's a whole bunch of words you can make. Everything from like God to hell to held, hold, fold, feel. And yet, there's one key clue among the banners. The ones on the drawing board don't really resemble English letters. What we have here is one banner hanging up with letters L-I-K-E on it. And because it's separate, because it's pinned up, it's not curled, it's flat, it's straight, it reads like answer to me. Like looking down here gets you thinking about the symbols as letters. Looking there, it looks like the word like. That's what I went with for room number 1. Now from here, we move on to the fable door. Now here in room 26, this one is tricky. Now, one of the things that I've noticed is a lot of the rooms on this path all have very clear lettering. That seems to me to be a mark that these letters are significant. So here we have letter A, and we have a salt shaker. And we know it's a salt shaker because it has the letter S on it. Surface level, AS. As. That's a word. Like, as. There's also, the letter A and salt. So reading assault. Or we have like a salt. A-S-A-L-T. That's another possible reading of this room. We're going to note those 3 possible options, and we'll come back to it. So we have like from the first room, and then we have as, assault, or a salt as 3 possible options for this room. Now, moving on to room 30. This one is, again, very, very important to differentiate the puzzles that helped us to solve which room to go to and the clues that sort of are left over afterwards. So one of the things that didn't really factor into choosing what room to go to were these giant letters, the O and the U. And they're even called out in the text with, yes, but why O and U? Which, saying it out loud, Y-O-U, U. Well, there's a word for you right there. That one seems kind of easy. And so, all right, like something you, like as you, no. Like assault you, not really. Like a salt you, no. None of the words from 26 really work there. So I think we're gonna need more to be able to differentiate what the correct answer is. But from here, that seems like an easy get. Okay, we've got a word, and we're starting to see a pattern. Okay, so we're picking up a word per room. Like each room has a word hidden in it. 42, this room. Okay, so we're looking for a word, and we're looking for something where the clue, it's not a clue that helps us to figure out where to go. So all the things on the doors, the pairs, was all stuff to guide us to where we're headed. Things that weren't, we have like the hat rack and the umbrellas, the elephant's foot, like umbrella stand. But the thing that really sort of caught my eye here, as far as something that is sort of designed to grab your attention, you have these 4 boots down here, and you have 4 paws kind of in the cutoff picture at the top. And so that's telling me, okay, well, the boots are drawing my attention to the picture up there. And those kind of look like, I mean, honestly, with this bear standing in the corner, that's really like grabbing my attention. So bear seems like a big clue. There are also a couple of different ways to spell bear. So it could be bear the animal. It could be, a homonym. We're going for bear, as in like barren or naked or... Okay, so looking at what we have so far. So like something you hat. Not really. Like something you boots. Doesn't quite work. Like something you bear. This is starting to form something. It seems like a reasonable guess. We can put, hat, we can put feet, we can put boots as like possible options here. But I don't know, kind of having lived in this book for so long at this point, the bear is calling to me. Like it feels like it has some relevance here. So we'll pencil those in. So you have like, something, you, like and you, those ones seem really, really definitive to me, like unquestionable. We have something in room 30, couple options, none of them really fitting very well. And then we have bear here. Okay, so like something you bear, it works, it works. So moving on to room 4. I hate this room. My first impression, the very first time I came here, ended in tragedy. And honestly, my estimation of this room has never improved since then. Started off bad, never got better. The fact of the matter is, okay, we passed through this room twice, which means there have to be 2 clues hidden in here somewhere, right? This one really, really stumped the hell out of me for a very long time. Hidden in the maze over here, we have the letters E, L, and L. But that's not really a word, at least not in like American English. And like we're looking for words, and it's not a word. And none of the other things really felt very compelling. Like blank, you bear axe, you bear wood, you bear flame, you bear matches or match. And what I ended up doing is banging my head against this room for a very long time and just giving up and moving on. So leaving this one blank on our little list. So like blank, you bear blank. And hoping maybe we can fill it in from context and kind of work, if we have some ideas for what the words could be, we could see if there are any we can justify. Now, from here, we move on to room 29 on our shortest path. I love this room. I absolutely love this room, and I will tell you why. This one, it's just straightforward. Up and on. Up and on. Like it's written right there. Upon. Like, okay. Like something, you bear something upon. Like it just fits. Like that was one, I saw that and it just instant click, love it. Did not have to think too hard, especially after the pain and agony of spending so much time staring at that cheeky little sun up above the door. It was a very welcome, simple, straightforward win. Now, from here we go to room 17. And now here again, okay, we have a little bit of wordplay. Because the thing is, the Y-O blank you are blank. Nothing to do with figuring out what door to go through. It's just 45 is just right there. Very simple. So the last time we saw Y in text, it was standing in for the letter Y. So I was already sort of primed in that thinking. So looking at Y-O-U-R, your. Another very easy, simple, straightforward. The blanks, unnecessary. Love it. Love it. Simple, easy, love it. So, Y-O-U-R, your. Like blank, you bear blank upon your. I feel like we're getting somewhere, right? Now let's just go into room 45, because that's the next step of our journey anyway. So, room 45, everything here pertains to the riddle itself. So there's nothing here that provides a clue for solving the riddle. So we can actually just move right on. Now, as we start the second half of the puzzle, what we have so far is like something, you most likely bear something upon your, and now we're here. So upon your what? I'm going to save you the agony that I experienced working through this the first time. And we'll come back to this room, but we're going to skip it for now. And move on to room 8. Because here in room 8, we have the word sign, clear as day. We also have S. So we have signs. So I was working through for quite a while, and you bear something upon your something signs. Which doesn't quite work, you know? Like it felt a little off, but I don't see anything else here. So it's like, okay, you know, we've been looking for words, for clear words. There's nothing else here that really fit any better. Eventually I ended up moving on to room 12. And so here, okay, here's the one that sort of let me know that things had changed. Because it wasn't until I got here that I realized that in room 23, Mr. Manson did something a little evil. In that he changed the structure of the puzzle. Or changed the structure of the clues. Now, you were fortunately spared the agonizing number of hours that I spent trying to continue the puzzle as it had been going. Because going into, on every room, going from room 1 to the middle of the maze, to room 45, everywhere along there, we were getting a word in every room. That stopped in room 45. Since then, the rules changed. What we're actually getting from the clues, the way the clue is structured, is different. So going in is structured one way, coming out is another. And this was when I figured it out, because here we have DU. Very clear, like, letters right there, just like the O and U on our way in. However, unlike O and U, where we have in the text, oh, why O and U? There is nothing here to contextualize D and U, or U and D. There's nothing. They're just letters isolated from a word. Like there is no word here to go with them. And the only other word that I could really find here was maybe like bones from the picture. But even that, looking at the words, okay, you bear something upon your something signs bones. It feels wrong. It feels wrong. Felt wrong. But we have a D and a U here and no other context for them. So that got me thinking. Okay, well, there was an S by itself in the previous room, right? So let's go back to room 8. Right, we have the S here. And actually, it kind of looks like an E on that table. Like the table legs look like they're making an E. You know, it's weird to see a six-legged table like that. So that the extra like table leg feels significant. So I'm like, okay, well, we have D and U, we have S and E, and so I started, noting these down. Going back to room 23, where are the letters here? Because now we're looking for letters. We're not looking for whole words. We're looking for letters. Now, the text on this scroll here, it's very disjointed. Everything right, nothing, the time is. And no matter how you kind of reassemble the words, if you rearrange the words, it doesn't really, you don't really get anything that's necessarily more cohesive than that. But then I realized, okay, well, if we take each line, like each line seems to work kind of internally. So if we take each line by itself, we have everything right, nothing, and the time is as 3 separate things. And my brain immediately clocked nothing, 0, oh, okay. Oh, okay. Everything right, everything okay. And then from there work through to the time is 6 o'clock. O'clock. Okay. So all 3 of those share O. So they could represent O. I'm like, hey, that seems like the kind of puzzle that's likely to be in this book. So penciled in O for here. I didn't really see any other compelling letters to be found. So we've got O, S, and E, and D and U. O, S, E, D, U. Nothing yet. But now I realize, okay, we're on a hunt for something different here. So let's just go the rest of the way through and let's find all the letters we can, collect all the letters we can and see what we can make of it. So from here we go down to 39. All right, and that brings us here. The S is a little cut off, so I'm not sure whether to count that as a letter or not. So I kind of put it in very light pencil with a question mark next to it because it didn't feel super compelling. It wasn't as compelling as some of the other clues. But there's an R just sitting over there on the shelf. So R, that's an easy one. I didn't spot any other letters here. So moving on to 4. 4. Hate this room. However, at this point, I was in the zone. So, after giving my customary middle finger to that sun, I immediately remembered coming in here. Oh, ELL. I found those. ELL, so I wrote those down. But it struck me as odd that there would be 3 letters here. We found 1 to 2 letters along the way. So I filed that one away. I wrote ELL down. But it seemed, the 3 letters all together like that, it seemed, there was something niggling at my brain. Also, I was salty being in this room. Let's just face it, I was salty. And so I just don't trust. I didn't trust the clue right away. I didn't trust ELL would. I couldn't believe that it would just be that simple. So filed that away for later, kind of put a little star by it, and moved on. Because honestly, I'd spent so much time in this room, I just wanted to get out. And we go to 15. Now, I struggled with this one. I struggled quite a bit with this one because looking at the clues that weren't relevant to guiding our path through, it took me a long time to find a letter here. It took me a very long time to find a letter. In fact, I actually skipped it. I got frustrated, moved on. I'm like, okay, I'll see what I can put together, and with the letters that I have at hand, and see if there's anything that would make sense for this room. So went on to 37, and from here, again, I didn't find anything here. And so that got me thinking, okay, maybe not every room has a letter in it. It seems, at that point, honestly, when you're that deep into it, you could convince yourself of just about anything. Nothing would have surprised me at that point. Yeah, I didn't see a compelling letter anywhere in here. Yeah, but the closest thing that I found was on this jar in the center, on this jug in the center. There's like a little bare patch, like a almost a highlight, like light patch. It looks like, and in it, there's almost kind of looks like an E written in it. That was about the most compelling thing that I found here. But at this point now, I'm just sort of speed running, looking for the obvious letters, just to kind of make sure I have as many of the letters that are clearly visible, so I can try to prove or disprove my hypothesis. So, bombed on to room 20, and room 20 is, of course, the last room before we get back out to room 1. Now here, okay, we have S and S, and notably, there's an S and there's an extra S. Now, I don't know if the extra S is there because we might need it, like if we missed an S somewhere else, or if it's just unneeded. So I wrote it down, I put a little question mark by it. All right, so I mean, looking at this puzzle. So, like something, you bear something upon your, like, okay, looking at common phrases, looking at, patterns of speech, looking at okay, you bear things on your soul. Well, there's way too many letters for soul. I mean, yeah, we can spell soul here. Bear something upon your shoulders, your back. But looking at the letters here, I see most of shoulders. The things that are missing, really just missing an H, and so excluding out those questionable letters, if we find, because the letters for shoulders are almost all here. Actually, we're missing an H, and we have an extra E and L. But the ELL in that one puzzle, in that one evil room, it could be kind of like what we saw with the, the time is and nothing, where it's like hinting at it, where it's like, okay, L. If you were to write L out as a word, this is one way you could spell it. So if we actually condense all that down and make that just one L, then we have S, if we can find an H, O, U, L, D, E, R, S. So to confirm it, we just need, if we can find an H, as far as I'm concerned, done deal, confirmed. So the rooms we didn't find any letter in were 15 and 37. Rolling back to 15, I can find a reason to justify H being from this room. Because you have a bunch of H words. You have house. You have hat. You have hats, multiple hats. You have a hair. You have a helmet. A heart, even on the back of the chair there. So it's one of those where obviously I didn't guess it, but I can explain it. I can justify it from here. So we can pull the H from here. And so now I'm looking at, okay, like something, you bear something upon your shoulders. And that's when, in the context of the original riddle from room 45, what house will all live in? And the clue for the answer to that riddle is like something, you bear something on your shoulders. Like immediately, my brain jumps to the statue of Atlas. This statue. If you take A-S-A-L-T, you can rearrange those to say Atlas. And so, plugging Atlas into the clue, like Atlas, you bear blank upon your shoulders. At that point, I'm totally fine thinking, hey, blank, it's fill in the blank. So the answer is the blank. And that's the whole point of room 4, is it doesn't have a word in it. And so I submitted the final series of answers. Question number 1. Which 16 rooms comprise the shortest path from room number 1 to room number 45 and back to room number 1? Number 1, number 26, number 30, number 42, number 4, 29, 17, 45, 23, 8, 12, 39, 4, 15, 37, 20. Number 2. What is the riddle found in room number 45? Stated exactly as indicated by the clues in the book. What house will all live in? And number 3. What is the answer to the riddle? Stated exactly as indicated by the clues in the book. The world. Like Atlas, you bear the world on your shoulders. And as far as we have been able to determine, those answers are correct. And at long last, this challenge has been completed. I mean, obviously it's been done before. Other people have solved it. But I can now count myself among them. And thank you for joining me on this journey, all to discover the world. Now, if you're feeling as sad as I am that this is over, fear not. Because the way I coped with having finished this and not having any more to work on was right here. And we even recorded it, and we've already started posting it. Blueprints. My God, it's so much fun. And everything that I've learned here has served us well in there. So thank you for coming with me on this journey. I hope that you'll join us on our next one. And until next time, ciao.
I gotta stick. Ooh, I gotta stick. Ooh. not gonna stop.